All right, everyone, we're gonna do one of my favorite meals on the Gather Grill, and that is pretty much a basic, really nice ribeye or New York strip or filet or whatever type of steak you want. We're gonna do a ribeye today and stir fry vegetables. I would love to have a twice baked potato, but I do not have it today, and we would stick that in the oven, but I'm gonna show you the staples. So first, as many of you would do, we're going to salt the steak. We're going to put some pepper on the steak. And then we'll do the other side. Press that in a bit. So to the grill, we have got not much charcoal at all. So this is the Gather Mini, which doesn't take much charcoal. This is 18 inches in diameter here, and if you put your hands here, you can put it there for about 2 seconds, maybe 3 before you got to move it. So this is somewhere in that 400 degree range. And we're going to take this steak and we're going to put it down. As you can tell, we've got some black coals there that haven't heated up yet. So we're running probably about 400 degrees. I'm going to leave it here for about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm going to flip it 3 or 4 minutes, and then I'm going to rotate it to the other side, and it's going to cook indirect, and it'll cook probably indirect at about 300 or so for about 6 or 8 minutes. Flip it 6 or 8 minutes, so probably about 15 minutes total. This is a thick steak, so it might take a few more minutes than that. Then we're going to bring it back to the hot side. And this is going to be at more like 600-700 degrees when we bring it back, because all those black coals are going to be super hot. And we're going to do a little bit of a reverse sear, bring it back, put a little butter on it. And then as we're doing the last probably 6-8 minutes, we're going to take these veggies, we're going to put them on the griddle, and they're going to both come out pretty much at the same time. And it's going to be an awesome meal. And the cool thing about cooking this way, so if I had people here sitting at the grill, I'm serving food hot, I'm serving it fresh. These guys right here, once you give them 20 minutes and they've sat around, as everybody knows, they're just not as good. And same thing with a steak. Steaks are amazing, but if they sit 20-30 minutes, in my opinion, it's just a piece of meat. I like it hot, and I like it right off the grill. And one more thing, you do not have to be a super professional fancy chef to serve great food. This is just a steak from the grocery store. Granted, I try to get grass-fed, I try to get super high-end, whether it's premium or whatever type of grade of beef you want. The better the beef, the better the taste, the better the experience. Veggies, there's nothing much to do here except take these whole ingredients, put them on the grill, serve them to your family, serve them to your friends, and they're going to be impressed. I mean, the only way you can screw this up is super overcook this steak or serve it raw. And some of you might want to eat it raw, but I don't prefer that. But you do not have to know all the fancy tricks. Now, granted, we're going to be doing lots of videos with chefs that do know the fancy tricks, and to me, I just don't know if I'm going to take the time to learn it all, but I love when somebody does. So certain people, that's their trade or that's their passion, you go for it, but you don't have to be a high-end, accomplished chef to deliver really, really good meals. So, come back in just a minute, we'll see how it's going. So the first flip, that does not look too bad. So we're gonna give this about 3 minutes on this side, and like I said, we're gonna rotate it around. All this, you can see how the coals are getting hotter, so this is getting hotter and hotter. And in about 10 minutes, 15 or 10, 12 minutes, as this steak has been sitting on this indirect side, this is gonna get super, super hot, so we can get a really good hot sear at the end with a little butter on it while we're doing the veggies. Stay tuned. Okay, so she's ready, looking really good. We're gonna take it and just sit it on its side just to kind of render this fat down just a little bit. So I'm just gonna hold it here for a few minutes. And that, that fat is obviously producing that flame. Okay, so now we get to, if you come in here and look on the top of this, you'll be able to see the charcoal there. It's still not a lot of charcoal because this is such a small grill compared to at least the other gather grills we make. But it's still super hot, and we're just going to rotate that steak over. So now it's going to be sitting over there indirect, and it needs at least 6-8 minutes on that side and 6-8 minutes on the other side because it's, gosh, 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches thick. So I'm going to put the hood on, and then on the second flip, we're going to do the veggies. They should come out about the same time, and it should be really nice. Okay, we've been about 5 or 6 minutes. Now I will say, if you had a temp probe, that would be easier. I do not have one today, so I'm not using one, so I'm kind of doing this by feel and kind of look, and worst case scenario, I'm going to cut it, and if it's a little medium rare and I want it medium, I'll just cook it a little bit longer. But roughly, you know, we're going to be real close. 3 minutes aside on the sear, 6 minutes aside or so on the indirect, and then we're going to cut a little piece, check it out, have a little bite, bring back to the direct side. But on this last 8 minutes, while we are waiting on it, we get to do the second part of our cook, which is our stir-fry veggies. And I don't know why whenever I'm on camera I feel like I need to say our stir-fry vegetables versus the, but seems to be what most people do, and I'm doing it too for some reason. But these stir-fry vegetables are now cooking. So we'll let them sit over here, give a little bit of garlic salt, and maybe a little seasoning salt. And I'm using avocado oil. A lot of times I'll use olive oil, but avocado oil has a higher smoke point, and I hear a lot of people talking about it, so I figure let's give it a try. And it seems to work really well and tastes good, so we're going with it. I've been going with it the last couple weeks. So we'll let that cook there for a minute. Bring the hood back over. Give it another 6-7 minutes and stir those veggies around, flip them to the opposite side, get that last little sear on the steak, and that should be good to go. All right, so it has not been the full six or so minutes that I said because I'm hearing my veggies make a lot of noise. I want to move them around a little bit so they don't burn. This griddle is really nice because it's got this edge on it, so you can push, you can pick things up. It's super convenient. Things aren't going to fall off unless you get a little crazy. I'm going to go get some water here in a second so we can get a last steam on it at the end. I'm just trying to get these turned over the best I can. And even though that steak is thick, I don't want to overdo it because some of you watching this video would give very bad comments, very bad reviews of my steak grilling abilities if I overcook this steak. So I'd rather pull it off too early than not early enough. So those look pretty good. I think we're about done here, so I'm going to rotate this back over here. One fun thing to do at the end is just give it some butter at the end. And obviously, great flavor for butter, but as it melts and that smoke comes up, that gives it flavor as well. And again, if you get a little aggressive, just roll it off. If it's starting to flame up too much, because too much flame, in my opinion, will give it that kind of char it, give it that burnt taste, which I don't think anybody likes. But you can always bring it right back. And then one last flip. All right, let's check it out. Again, we're not looking for perfection here, so if we didn't let it cook quite enough, we can easily put it back on there. So we're going to cut off this outer edge. So let's see how we did. Again, super thick steak. Don't want to overcook it. So we're in that medium, I need a better knife, range. Medium rare, just a hair off of medium. And if I'm sitting there going, man, I've got somebody that I'm cooking for and they do not like it quite like that, and they're like, I want a little bit more on it. I mean, you gotta admit that's gonna be pretty good. I mean, that's the way most people are gonna want to eat a steak. Right at that medium rare. But if you want to cook it a little more, no shame in that. If you want to overcook it, there's a little shame in that, but look at that. That is actually right about perfect for medium. Little douse of salt there. And then what's so fun about this concept of the social grilling is you can serve it. This steak, in my opinion, right now is the best that it's going to be. Maybe another minute or two won't hurt it to rest, but you serve this to anyone right off the grill. Say you a quick prayer, because good gracious, we ought to be thankful for that right there. And they are going to be happy. So, Chance, let me see the camera real quick. I'm not going to drop it. I'm not going to break it. I want you to tell me what you think. How do we do this? There we go.
See it? Yeah.
All right. Be honest. You don't have, you can totally be honest,
That's
Chance.
exactly how you want a steak to be.
Out in South Georgia, hanging out. This isn't a bad way to spend an afternoon.